Hello recap lovers, welcome to Mystic Recaps. The story we'll be diving into today is not for the faint of heart. It's a tale of danger, adventure, and a man determined to make the most of his limited time on this earth. So, buckle up, grab some popcorn, and get ready for a wild ride. The movie opens with our protagonist Dodge in a high-tech waiting room at a company called Tier Fund. He's a struggling real estate developer in Detroit who's neck-deep in debt, and one bad investment has brought him to the brink of financial ruin. The cursed investment is a dilapidated high-rise office building named the Carrington that nobody wants to rent. Adding to his desperation, his wife Val is pregnant with their first child. At the office, a secretary informs Dodge that the company's chief, Miles Sellers, is ready to see him. Dodge enters Miles' sleek yet ominous office, where Miles already seems to know all about Dodge's financial struggles. He calmly tells Dodge that he can become a millionaire by playing a game that's essentially a homicidal hunting spree. Dodge is shocked to hear about such a game and initially refuses to participate. But, with the temptation of a lot of money and with no other options, Dodge reluctantly agrees to take part in the game. We then go on a flashback to a few days prior, showing how Dodge ended up meeting Miles and getting involved in this deadly game. It turns out, Dodge used to be a track star and record breaker at the University of Michigan. The scene shows Dodge on a run while a voiceover in the background announces Dodge breaking the record. Who would have thought that a track star would end up playing a homicidal game for money? The world is a strange place. So, our hero Dodge is going for a casual jog on the city streets, but he's been experiencing some serious headaches. Because apparently, even making breakfast has become a Herculean task for the man. He drops eggs on the kitchen floor and notices some late bills for his medication, because why not add to the stress, right? We then meet his lovely, pregnant wife Val, who just reinforces the fact that things are not looking good for Dodge. Everything from preparing for their baby to paying bills relies on his job, which is unfortunately falling through. But Val is a trooper and believes they can get through it. Later, the couple visits Dodge's best friend Luger at his bar, who has also lost money in the investment with Dodge, but is still sympathetic towards his friend. Good to see some positivity. But don't get too excited, there's a catch. One day, while walking outside, Dodge is overcome with pain and collapses on a sidewalk. He's taken to a hospital, where the doctors break the news to him that he has terminal brain cancer and the tumor in his brain is inoperable. As if things couldn't get any worse, the couple leaves the hospital in despair and is given a business card for a company called Tier Fund by a hospital nurse. The nurse tells them the company supposedly helps those with terminal illnesses who are financially struggling. On the way out, Dodge confesses to Val that he doesn't have health or life insurance because he sold it to pay off some of his business expenses. And because both of their parents are broke, they have no one to turn to for financial assistance. The scene then shifts back to the present day where Miles explains the dangerous game to Dodge. It's a 24-hour hunt where the longer Dodge stays alive, the more money he earns. The hourly rate increases every time he reaches a certain level in the game. If Dodge manages to survive until the end, he can win a whopping $24.5 million, all deposited in a secret account in his name. The hunters in the game are wealthy elites who hunt to kill. They want to hunt poor, desperate humans like Dodge. And if that wasn't enough, Dodge won't know what these hunters look like or how many of them are coming for him. It's a real-life game of cat and mouse. Miles also explains the strict rules of the game. Dodge can't stop or pause the game once it starts. He can't tell anyone he's playing, and he can't leave the city. If he breaks any of these rules, the game will never end until he dies. The hunters can use any weapon except guns, while Dodge can only defend himself. And the real kicker, Dodge can't even tell anyone about the game. Miles convinces Dodge that even if he dies during the game, he'll still make enough money to support his loved ones. Hearing this, the desperate and broke Dodge has finally made the questionable decision to participate in this deadly game, all for the sake of financially taking care of Val and their unborn child. But not before trying one last time. After being rejected by a sought-after investor named Jerry Pierce, Dodge lies to Val about the good deal he supposedly struck with Pierce and goes to meet Miles at a diner. The game begins at sunrise and Miles takes all of Dodge's belongings, except for his medication and an ultrasound of his child, and gives him a tracking phone. Every hour, the phone sends Dodge's location to the hunters. While Dodge is running for his life, Val notices large deposits of money in his bank account. He comes across his first hunter, Nixon, a British gentleman in a mall bathroom, but manages to escape. The second hunter, Regan, a southern cowboy, is hot on his heels. Meanwhile, Val realizes Pierce never agreed to invest and calls Luger for help, as she suspects Dodge is in deep trouble and involved in something illegal. And let's not forget about Miles' creepy henchman, Connell, who cleans up the crime scenes to keep the game a secret. At this point, I think it's safe to say that things are not looking too good for our friend Dodge. And poor Val, she's just figuring out that the man she loves is in the middle of something illegal and potentially deadly. The scene then shifts to Tier Fund headquarters in Detroit. The place is equipped with advanced computer equipment that tracks Dodge's movements. In the next scene, he successfully evades his hunters and boards a train. He then goes to a church to confess his sins, entering a confessional booth and telling a priest about his involvement in something evil. Meanwhile, Val and Luger foolishly go to the bank branch where Dodge has an account and try to uncover who is behind the mysterious deposits, but only make themselves appear suspicious. They quickly leave when the bank worker they were speaking to offers to get the manager. When Dodge doesn't answer his calls, Val grows suspicious and calls the police, but they are unable to file a missing persons report. Back at the church, Dodge mistakenly punches a worshiper thinking he is one of the hunters. But the atmosphere quickly changes when he realizes the priest, whose real name is Carter, is actually one of the hunters. A psychologist by profession, Carter reveals that he used Dodge's background profile to track his next move. He attacks Dodge with a hammer, but after a struggle, Dodge manages to lock Carter in a confined space. Although he is hit with a hammer on his leg, Connell is just outside the church and learns of the situation. He reports it to his boss, Miles. Dodge can't run anymore because of his leg injuries, but he's a resourceful guy and comes up with a plan to blend in with a crowd of spectators. Nixon follows him, but with a stroke of luck, Dodge manages to hide in the trunk of a family's car. Of course, back at home, Val is a bundle of nerves because she hasn't heard from her husband. So she does some digging and finds a business card for the Tear Fund. Little does Dodge know, the family is headed towards Birmingham, which means he's about to leave Detroit. But that's a big no-no, so he alarms the family and jumps out of the trunk. Who wouldn't be stunned to find a stranger in their car trunk? The husband takes a swing at Dodge, but he's no match for our protagonist. The wife quickly calls the police, but Dodge apologizes for his desperate behavior and takes off. He then steals a cab and heads home, but the drama isn't over yet. Just as he's about to step inside, a biker attacks him with a rod. Val sees this and informs Luger. Dodge jumps into the cab and speeds off, with the biker in hot pursuit. Of course, the biker turns out to be Carter. Dodge crashes into a tree but survives. When the psychologist threatens to sexually assault Val, Dodge kills him. The creepy Connell steps in and takes care of the situation. He then updates Miles. Val, on the other hand, follows the business card to the Tear Fund location. She enters the Tear Fund building only to find it empty. Dodge is still being chased by Regan, so he hops on a tour ship for a bit of breathing room. Little does he know, the stewardess on the ship is another hunter, Kennedy. She proves to be a martial arts expert and has the upper hand in their fight. But just as she's about to finish him off, Dodge sets her clothes on fire and throws her into the water as he makes his escape on a nearby bridge. Poor Dodge just can't seem to catch a break. Next, Dodge is captured by some thugs who discover a bank account with $15 million and realize his medication is fake. Despite his attempts to explain, they beat him up. Just as they're about to end his life, the fifth hunter, LBJ, arrives and initiates a shootout, killing most of the thugs. But when LBJ is about to finish off Dodge, one of the injured thugs shoots him from behind, giving Dodge a chance to escape. Connell arrives to clean up the mess. It's not over for Dodge as Nixon soon starts following him, but Dodge manages to escape the chase and goes to the hospital. A nurse confirms that his medication is fake and that there are no records of him ever being admitted. He calls Miles, who admits that Dodge doesn't have a terminal illness and was set up to participate in the game. Miles reveals that Luger accepted $50,000 to drug Dodge, and the rules still stand. Dodge quickly calls Val to let her know and warns her to stay away from Luger. Dodge realizes they've been outplayed and his cancer isn't real. He explains the situation to Val over the phone, but it's too late. Soon after that, Val is kidnapped by fake police officers and taken by Miles as a hostage. So, it's the final showdown between Dodge and the remaining hunters, Nixon, Regan, and Kennedy. They arrive at Dodge's dad's old construction shop, ready to take down their prey. But little do they know, Dodge has set up some traps for them. First up, we have Regan who, in true cinematic fashion, gets his hand trapped and bloodied with a beam. Oh, the irony. And just as Kennedy is about to step in and save the day, she is shot dead by Luger, who just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Thanks for playing, Kennedy. Luger then reveals that Miles was just bluffing about drugging Dodge, and the two of them make their escape before the construction shop goes boom, taking Regan with it. Meanwhile, Nixon escapes unscathed. But wait, there's more. Connell arrives to clean up the mess, and Dodge attacks him, demanding to know where Val is. Connell reveals that Miles had set up their base at the Carrington, Dodge's failed high-rise development. Dodge wastes no time and heads to the Carrington, where he finds Val tied up. The couple finally embrace each other, but their reunion is cut short by Nixon. He chases Dodge to the rooftop, where they engage in the final battle. During the fight, Dodge falls off the building, somehow hanging on for dear life from a ledge. Nixon prepares to deliver the final blow, but then stops and sees the sunrise. He puts his weapon away and politely helps Dodge back up. And just like that, the game is finally over. It's been 24 hours and Nixon congratulates Dodge for a good game before walking away. Val reunites with Dodge, who gets a final call from Miles telling him that he's won the game and the money. Well, what a wild ride. Who would have thought that a deadly game could end so politely? That concludes our review of the 2020 movie Most Dangerous Game. If you've enjoyed this video, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Until next time.